going on, guys? This is the 5 Year Pass podcast. My name is Sudi. This is Sham, bringing you the reaction to quite an entertaining game. I thought Palace versus Spurs, and I think the first point is Vieira would love that, absolutely love that win. Even the style of which it kind of encapsulated Spurs. Before we get into the tactical nuances of the game, they just bottled it. They bottled it hard, and I think Vieira would come back. He's going like 20 years later, nothing's changed. Even though for Spurs,
they didn't look like scoring, frankly, and a lot of their goals in those 3 wins, majority of their goals have come from set pieces. So
yeah,
they're kind of it's fine to get the defensive structures right, and they've done that so far. But the goal difference is now 0, and they don't know how to score a goal despite having probably the best striker in the league. So it's a bit of a worry from that perspective. But you got to make teams hard to beat before they win. So Nuno's got to try and amp it up and get that attacking play sorted out. Funnily enough, I think the international break was good for Palace. I think that they looked a lot more organised and they looked much more threatening.
Mm-hmm. I'd be interested to see how many minutes, because Zaha doesn't play for England. Benteke is not first choice for Belgium, so on and so forth. These kind of smaller teams tend to thrive, especially early on in the season with this first international break. I'm just looking at the. I was actually curious about Tanganga. I heard he was a good player. That's right. We did talk about it. He's English. I was just kind of concerned with how there's no discipline with him. You get a yellow card, off that. Oh, sorry. Was it him? No, sorry.
Yeah, he was the one that got yellow carded, right?
Yeah, he was the one that got. It wasn't Emerson Royal. It was him. The way he shoved him. Okay, fine. Like those things happen, but there's no discipline. It took about 10 minutes for him to get a second yellow, and he was off.
Yeah. I was worried Zaha would get sent off because Zaha looked really fired up. He was quite annoyed at that, as an understatement. But yeah, it was. Sorry, I forgot his name. How to pronounce it? But
Tanganga, yeah.
It's Tanganga, yeah. So to get that sent off again, ill-disciplined. We talked about it with Xhaka getting sent off against Man City, and it was that lost them the game. It was 0-0 when he got sent off, and Tottenham could have hung on, but you just knew from the time he got sent off, Crystal Palace just grew and got better and better in the game, and I thought the scoreline was probably fair, to be honest.
Yeah. I think Palace are never going to be mentality monsters in the way previous kind of medium to middle table sides are, but I think they're going to have a better style of play, and it's quite obvious with Roy Hodgson did quite well with them. In fact, Roy Hodgson gave that the mentality, and I think Patrick Vieira can kind of shake them up to be a team that pushes into the top 10 consistently. They've a good team, kind of surrounds around Zaha. I don't think Zaha's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Just curious, so Son. Why didn't Son play? I wonder. Was he injured? Maybe he is.
I know that he would have gone. I think he got injured. He was playing for Korea in the international break. It could have been the travel and quarantine. I'm not exactly sure.
No, it wouldn't be a quarantine. I wonder why. But yeah,
he's come back from Korea, so.
Just give it a second. He's injured. Yeah, he's got a bit of a knock. The thing I wanted to say was you're right. They absolutely looked. Not only did it look toothless, Harry Kane was missing most of the game. He's going to be talked about every single game because of what he did in preseason, wanting to leave, and everything he does will be scrutinized. What's going on? Why they just don't have anything going forward? They don't have anything to kind of. Do you think? Okay, I guess the question was: do you think Harry Kane is kind of the end of his ropes, and do you think you might have a little bit of a blunted season from him, bring his value down?
I wouldn't. I don't know. I still think of him as a professional. I don't think he's going to top the goal scoring and assist scoring chart like he did last year. That was a bit freakish. I think that teams have switched on to his connection with Son, which was the source of so many of those statistics. But I think that there'll be a lot more focus on him from opposition teams. There should be anyway. But I also think that he's probably playing a bit higher than he was last season. Mourinho had him sort of drop really deep, and I think Gomez is going to leave him. Nuno's going to leave him up there, so he will be a bit more sort of catchable. And as Tottenham start to put in these new ideas, they're gonna shift away. There will be some structural changes with them. Mourinho tended to just let his attacking players play, and that probably suited someone like Harry Kane. But I think as they put some ideas in, there will be a transition period. So I do think you'll have a blip. Everybody will blame it on the botched transfer, and then he'll just go back to being normal until he gets injured sometime in January.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that leaves Tottenham still top of the table, so I think there's something to still be happy about. But as far as Crystal Palace,
top of the table with a 0 goal difference, that's hilarious.
It's kind of funny. I wonder if it's ever been done. That leaves Palace exactly where we want them to be, really, in 11th place. They've got 2 draws and a win. They seem to be able to score goals. They've got 5, which I guess would be around the average. They conceded 5. Um, what do you think Palace has to change? We saw a good 2 hours of football there with Palace. Is there much they should change at the moment?
It's that defense. I mean, the attack they look good. The Gallagher looked pretty decent in midfield.
I thought he was quite decent. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I had
quite
a good
decent.
game.
All the classy athletic guys up front looked really good for Crystal Palace. So they got a
Yeah,
bit of
yeah, yeah,
punch there. Their defense was not tested.
yeah.
And if they
No, it
got,
wasn't the whole game.
I do think they have an above average attack. So you would suggest that that means that they're mid table, they have a below average defense.
Mm,
So getting that right is going to be
yeah,
very important.
yeah,
And I think that I think that it's going to be a matter of them just getting that solidified. And I do think they did struggle to start the season, but this is an opportunity now for them to go onto a good run of form. I
yeah.
actually think they've just, if you watch that game, you would think that they should be in the top half of the table,
Yeah, I
but they're
agree.
not, like you said. So what's holding them back? And I just think it's that solidity at the back, and they can work on that. It's easier almost to work on your defense as a team as opposed to working on attacking play. So in a way, they're dealing with that harder stuff, but they've got to deal with sort of the basics and getting that right. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I actually had in my head at the start of the season as a Crystal Palace as a worrying team, one of the teams to worry for, besides your Newcastles and your Norwiches, and I mean, to a sense, we actually thought Arsenal would struggle as well. I wonder if he's the guy for the job, because he's a failed manager in this, in all the jobs he's taken. He hasn't done very well in America and in France, and I think, yeah, he's only done jobs in America and France at the minute.
mm.
I wonder if I know I'm not. It's not a question for you because you obviously don't know either. But I wonder what he could bring more to this team that he hasn't done in his that he's already done in his managerial career, or he hasn't. I'm just curious as to what he brings to the team.
It,
Um,
you,
as far as
you think that force of personality would be a big thing with him.
mm,
He knows how to
yeah,
play in this league.
mm,
Pedro not played. He's not played a lot of football outside England. Funnily enough, for a Frenchman. So
yeah,
this league he understands. And some managers are a bit like Ollie's probably a good example at United, where he does well at bigger clubs, and Palace are a
mm,
bigger club than the teams that he's managed before. So you
yeah,
might wonder if it sort of suits him. But I think the idea of giving him as much control as you can and letting that work. I actually do suspect that he could be quite a good manager. It just
mm,
needs the opportunities and playing that sort of effervescent style. And Arsenal actually, like, we associate them with that sort of Barcelona tiki taka style, but when they play well, they're actually fairly direct.
mm,
They'd move the ball forward quickly, um, but in a very synchronized way. If you look at all of their
mm,
goals, they are goals that like even Vieira setting up goals for Henri that he'd pass from deep positions, or Vieira would run from quite
yeah,
deep positions to
and
score.
it,
So
and it,
I
all-
have a
and it,
feeling that that's how Crystal Palace look today. So you feel that they could
interesting,
do
yeah,
that.
and there's a good comparison actually. I was gonna say it always looked sexy at Highbury because of the camera angle was so low, so it always just
Yeah.
looked like you were in the action.
And
The
and
last
the
thing I
pitch
had,
was so narrow, so it lent to that
it,
intricate style.
it my friend Mike, he's been going to games since he was 5 years old, says that the pitch at school that we went to wasn't that much smaller than Highbury. Just to give you a kind of idea of how big Highbury was. It wasn't that narrow as well as people thought. It was a lot to do with the camera angle. But I do remember those passes. It was always Arsenal loved attacking down that left side. Very direct passes, and they also had
Wenger used to play at training. Sorry, they used to play 8-on-8, but they put the touch line at the edge of the box. So when you got
mhm.
the goals and then you got the box, so they would play very
Oh yes,
condensed
yeah,
football,
yeah,
but they would play 8-on-8, and so that would lead to situations where a guy get a ball and sort of flick it and move on and run into space, but just
yeah.
sort of that way that we associate with Arsenal.
Yeah, that's actually a technique. I think like maybe you didn't use as much, but it was quite a common training thing that when I was playing football in like my mid 20s, it was very common to use. I think very likely Wenger kind of started it. To kind of finish off, man, Ronaldo starts. Contrary to what maybe I thought earlier today, I guess as I was getting a bit worried that Ollie loves benching people for no reason. So,
Or to be
I was
honest,
gonna say,
the only thing
the
stopping
biggest mind
Cristiano
fuck, the
Ronaldo
biggest mind
starting,
fuck.
yeah, the only thing
So
stopping Cristiano Ronaldo from starting is Cristiano Ronaldo. Like
okay,
he's
the
the
big,
one player that could go to Ollie and go, yeah, I'll start, and Ollie's like,
I think
okay.
the biggest mindfuck would have been Ronaldo on the bench, but Donny van de Beek starting. No one would have known what to do.
Maybe Ronaldo comes on the hour mark and then like does
Yeah.
an half an hour beautiful football, second debut.
um, I think we'll call it there, man. So Spurs bottling it once again. Look, but they've had a good start to the season. It's a bad game. United had a terrible start to the season, and they've gone on to do really well last year, and so did City as well. But it's just the manner in which they lost. I think that's what we're trying to convey.
Yeah, there
And I
are
think they got.
questions there for them,
I think
definitely.
I think to kind of conclude, they need to figure out how they're going to feed Harry Kane this year. It just seems like something's missing. Maybe Son needs to be there no matter what, which is fine. In the way Bruno needs to be there for United, in the way Van Dijk needs to be there for Liverpool, everything just falls into place much quicker. And I think that's the kind of takeaways. Crystal Palace sitting 11th, they'd be pleased with the win, and I think they just, as every team, take it game by game. We're gonna end it there, Sham. Any closing thoughts? Are you excited for the Newcastle game?
Yeah, who Newcastle playing? Sorry, yeah,
Ronaldo.
Yeah. Ronaldo and the other 10 guys. Yeah, no, very excited. Really looking forward to it. It could be a damp squib of a game, but just the occasion I think is going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and
it's the occasion.
Yeah, my estimation of Crystal Palace has gone up a fair bit, and Tottenham has come down a fair bit as well. Actually, there's some serious questions they need to answer and quickly.
Yeah. All right, perfectly. We ended there. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are the 5 Yard Pass podcast. My name is Suri, and this is Sham. Keep football simple, and as always,
keep passing, guys.
Cheers.